For wildlife biologist Denise Boyd, this was one of the best days in a long time.
There's two noses up behind us, right at that corner.
Boyd was out with Florida wildlife officers on the Orange River near Fort Myers, looking for sick or dead manatees, an endangered species. None so far, a hopeful sign after a brutal start to the year.
The number of mortalities has exceeded anything I've seen in the past.
The lethal toxin from an algae bloom called red tide had settled in the worst possible place, the seagrass beds off southwest Florida, where manatees feed during the winter, killing more than 180 since January. A lack of winter rain, scientists say, may have caused a more widespread bloom this year.
We started getting 5 or 6 in a day, and now there was a few days when you'd have 10 calls for manatees.
They eat the toxic grass, breathe the toxic air at the surface, and by the time they move up into the river, their warm water winter retreat, paralysis sets in and they drown. Wildlife officers say it's a good sign when they're approaching a manatee and it's moving to get out of the way, because when they're sick with the toxin in them, they usually just sit there. But even when the creatures are in distress from the toxin, it's not too late. If they're found, they can be saved.
If we get them to fresh water, they'll get rid of the toxin, and once it's out of their system, then they're feeling like a new manatee.
Virginia Edmonds is the animal care manager at Tampa's Lowry Park Zoo. The lucky ones, the dozen or so that have been rescued, are brought here. To keep them from drowning, their heads are held out of the water until the toxin clears their system.
Having red tide toxin to the degree that some of these manatees do when they come in, they are comatose in a way, and can't move their heads or their bodies, and that's why we have to support their heads and help them get a breath.
It's estimated there are no more than 5,000 manatees left in Florida. For biologists, the most frustrating part of this episode has been not finding them in time to save more of them. The outbreak, biologists think, may finally be nearing its end, but the toll has never been worse.